Hi, and welcome to this edition of BCPS News. I'm Mary Beth Marsden. On today's show, we'll check out students learning about agriculture in very unique ways, the challenges students with disabilities face, and an author who pens environmental topics. All this and more. But first, let's check out what's trending. Students at Lutherville Laboratory got the unique opportunity to participate in GIS Day, which stands for Geographic Information Systems. Eric Cromwell, Elementary Science Coordinator for BCPS, demonstrated how the GIS system works by viewing, understanding, interpreting, and visualizing data in many ways that reveal relationships, patterns, and trends in the form of maps and globes and reports and charts. As one of the activities, students did their own global positioning and collecting data with some high-tech equipment. GIS Day takes place in more than 80 countries. 178 of BCPS's finest got the opportunity of a lifetime to perform at the Meyerhoff Symphony Hall in Baltimore. For the past 18 years, high school honor band, chorus, and orchestra students have been performing for family and friends under the direction of world-renowned conductors. Over the last 2 months, rigorous and extensive auditions were conducted in making the final selections for the performance. BCPS has been named several times as one of the top communities for music education by the American Music Conference. During this season of giving, Norwood Elementary School students and community are paying tribute to both active service members and area veterans through various school-wide projects. This year, they are honoring Special Forces soldier Billy Costello, who was injured overseas during his tour of duty. As a way of saying thank you to this special patriot, the students created dozens of handmade cards and letters, along with a special performance by the M&M Group, dancing to one of their favorite songs. The musical DVD and Get Well cards will be sent later this month to add a little cheer to the wounded soldier's recovery. And for the past 5 years, Norwood has also participated in making contributions to the Wounded Warrior Project. Up next in our studio, we have Carl Love from the Office of Pupil Personnel Services to talk about homeless education. Stay with us, more to come.
When I was younger, I didn't want to admit I had a serious disease. Because of my diabetes, I lost the sight in my left eye. Misconceptions continue to surround this monster public health issue, but the simple truth is, diabetes can often be prevented and complications avoided. You're not alone. Understand the realities of diabetes and know that you can manage it and lead a full, active life.
Welcome back. As you may know, homelessness affects many people in Baltimore County, including students. Here to discuss homeless education at BCPS is Carl Love, the school system's homeless liaison. Carl, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome. It's great to be here.
How many kids are we talking about?
Well, last school year we had 1,914 students, and in the last 10 years we've seen an increase of sixfold in the number of homeless students. So there's been a significant increase in Baltimore County Public Schools and all school systems across the country.
Yeah, it's a big challenge, I know.
Yes.
How do you go about, because there are so many people involved, how do you go about identifying these students?
We have pupil personnel workers, and the school system's staff has been trained in homelessness. So we can work with the families if there is if they are homeless to help bring them in the system in an orderly way. What we look for is to determine whether a family lacks a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence.
Right, so there are certain criteria that they have to meet. If someone is falling on hard times and they're finding they are out of their home or out of a consistent place to stay and live, what's the first thing they need to do?
They should let the school know, and then the school will contact the pupil personnel worker. And we also have school-based liaisons that are assigned to each school to work with the families.
What about the parent who thinks, oh, I don't want to take my child out of this school. I want some consistency for them, even if everything else is falling apart.
We work under a federal law, and the federal law provides for consistency in the child's education. And one of the things that will happen is the child has a right to remain in the last school that they're attending, the present school, or they can attend their geographic area school. The school system is responsible for providing transportation back to the last school if they're outside of the walking area. So wherever possible, we try and work with the family, and continue the child in the last school.
And whatever you have to do, you'll piece together transportation for that child, right?
That's correct.
You know, a lot of us will try and have sort of preconceived notions about what we might think a homeless family looks like or a homeless child looks like, but really this crosses all stereotypes, right? I mean,
I think the faces of homelessness have really changed over the years. Traditionally, we thought of homeless people as a person standing out on the street corner. However, it's really cut into all populations. We're seeing families losing homes. We're seeing families that are living in homes where they're renting, and those homes are being lost, and people are losing employment, and because of that, they are identified as homeless. The Homeless Education Act is very broad in its coverage.
And you're finding that in Baltimore County and probably elsewhere as well, there are students who are both gifted and talented students who go on to college, you said, and there are students who have other disabilities as well, and you have to address all that, right?
One of the things that we look at is the needs of the student and the strengths. And yes, we do have students that are in homeless situations that are very resourceful and very strong, go on to college. We have other students that have high needs, and we try and provide them with the supports that are needed so they can be successful in school.
What kind of supports do you provide outside of the regular school day?
Well, one of the things that we do is we have tutorial services. We have Baltimore County Public School teachers that will work with the students after school, both in the shelters and in the schools where they attend, to provide tutorial assistance for them. And we also provide them with school supplies and clothing as needed.
Oh, that's very helpful. What would you say to people who are watching right now about how they can help? Either make a homeless student feel more comfortable in the environment where they're learning, or talk to their kids about?
I think it's important that people do talk to their kids about homelessness and try and explain that it's not just the person that's on the street corner, that this could happen to any family, and what people can do to assist. There are a lot of ways there. It's the Baltimore County Communities for the Homeless. They have fundraisers. Sometimes people have had canned good drives to raise canned goods that are donated to the shelters and other things along this line.
Carl Love, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Glad
it's a
to have
pleasure.
you here. Coming up next, for the Agriscience students at Hereford Middle School, one question seems to be on their minds these days. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Let's try and solve that mystery.
Here at Hereford Middle, these students get to learn about agriculture in very unique ways. How do you like being a part of Hereford?
The baby chicks we have here at the school, we're very fortunate to have. We're the only school actually in the state of Maryland that has a middle school ag program.
As part of the Hereford Middle School Agriscience program, students are given the chance to experience agriculture through hands-on activities.
Here at Hereford Middle School, it's probably the most rural place in Baltimore County, so we get to do farm stuff, and it's really interesting.
Students are taught different agricultural techniques.
Hydroponics is growing plants in water without soil. You use fertilizer and they grow without the water and get nutrients from the water.
And responsibility.
These are our baby chicks. Right now we're about to give them new food and water so that they can survive over the weekend.
At the end of the day, these students get the farm-to-table experience by being able to enjoy the fruits of their labor.
And the eggs that we're going to get from our baby chicks that you're taking care of, we're going to be using here in the school cafeteria.
I've taken care of this lettuce for 6 weeks, and now I'm going to eat it.
What is that?
Delicious.
For BCPS News, I'm Melissa Navoyski.
From the farm to the table, even if your farm happens to be at a local middle school. What a great project. Now, getting through the hustle and bustle of school life can be daunting at times, but for those with a disability, it can be a real struggle. Let's take a look.
Man, it is really tough.
The wheels are like slipping.
For most of us, getting around and doing everyday daily activities just comes natural. But for those with a disability, life can be a challenge. 6th grade students at Perry Hall Middle School took part in a 2-day disabilities awareness program to experience firsthand the limitations.
You might might want to move up here so you can hear. It's going to be very hard to hear down there.
The most difficult one was probably the one where you had to read the experiment for the science lab, because it showed how people with dyslexia read things and mistake other letters. And so we had to try to figure out what it said.
A variety of stations were created that included disabilities for attention deficit disorder, orthopedic limitations, deaf and hard of hearing, nonverbal communication disorders, and articulation disorders. At one stop, students were paired with students with a disability, which allowed them one-on-one interaction.
We want them to have an understanding of the different types of disabilities and the different challenges that a lot of their classmates face each day, so that they can be more supportive and have a little empathy for students who may be a little bit different.
And who knows what they might have gone through. So probably next time you should start helping them and probably be helpful and nicer.
In all, the program reached 500 Perry Hall Middle School students in hopes of educating them to understand their fellow classmates' restrictions and that they too can achieve success.
What a great learning lesson for those students. So, have you ever been inspired by nature? Green author Jennifer Keats Curtis talks about Maryland wildlife, and math takes on a magical twist. All this and more in our Around the County segment.
Author Jennifer Keats Curtis spent the afternoon at 5th District Elementary School.
She came to share some of her books with the students and some pictures of her research and talk a little bit about her research process.
The Green author, a realistic fiction writer, uses Maryland wildlife that she encounters as her inspiration.
The themes that inspire my books are animals in general and how people are helping them. I was initially inspired by seeing the ways in which the kids were working with the diamondback terrapins, which are our state reptile. That was really how I really got started doing the work with the Maryland animals.
In her book, Baby Owl's Rescue, two kids do the right thing when they find an injured owl in need of help.
But I wanted to write it from seeing the wildlife rehabilitators' point of view and how they work with animals. And all my stories have to do with ordinary kids and ordinary animals in extraordinary circumstances, which is what happens when a kid finds an animal in need. And it happens a lot. So that's how a lot of my stories begin, or that's the premise of a lot of them.
You can find out more about Jennifer Keats Curtis and her ecological efforts at jenniferkeatscurtis.com.
Middle of the rope goes back on.
Abracadabra. Pinewood Elementary School welcomes math magician Craig Collis for an assembly entitled Multicultural Math and Magic Geometry. As a former math teacher turned magician, Collis decided to present math in a magical way.
And at some point, I started to develop a program that incorporated both magic and the math.
Mr. Collis combines magic, music, comedy, and audience participation to bring his unique presentation to life.
It's just a different view of the normal way that math is presented.
For more information on how to bring this magical presentation to your school, visit www.craigcollis.com.
Did you know?
That does it for this edition of BCPS News. If you have any story ideas, comments, or suggestions, contact us at edchannel@bcps.org and follow BCPS on Facebook and Twitter. As we leave you today, let's take another look at the honor students' performance at the Meyerhoff Symphony Hall. Until next time, I'm Mary Beth Marsden. Thanks for watching.